The ever-growing market of Malayalam cinema, and I'm not talking only about those in Kerala or in the Middle East, but all those who have now almost addicted to good Malayalam films on OTT across the country, across languages, are all hung and are busy talking about the great Indian kitchen. I, however, by accident and on recommendation, got to watching this amazing film called Malik. It's made by Mahesh Narayan. It's both written and directed by Mahesh Narayan. The central character is Fahadh Faasil. What a brilliant actor. I would have thought that after the Mammootties and the Mohanlals and the Prithvis, they're going to have a problem finding an actor of this class. But then Malayalam cinema seems to get as many good actors as India gets her number 3 bat. You had a Wing Saker, after Wing Saker went, you had a Rahul Dravid, you lose Rahul Dravid, you have a Pujara. So that's the kind of ever reliable greatness that's coming about in Kerala and actors. Unlike, and why am I comparing the film with The Great Indian Kitchen? I should not be, because somewhere the genres are different. One is about women empowerment, one is about a male dominated world, one is seemingly avant garde, while the other is brazenly commercial. But yes, I'm getting both of them into the same sweep only because they're such contemporary films coming from the same area, and what wonderful films. Restricting this present analysis only to Mahesh Narayan's Malik, I tell everybody who loves to watch a good entertainer, who has no pretensions about a film being very intellectual or a learning process, etc., etc., watch Malik. It's a long film, definitely long by Malayalam standards. It runs over 2 hours and 30 odd minutes, but you'll enjoy every bit of the movie. It's not one of those movies where you want to press the forward button even when the songs are there. Sushin Shyam's music keeps you as engrossed. Sushin Shyam's music keeps you engrossed not because it's great music, because it so subtly fits into the narrative. Sharmila Tagore, in one of her interviews, said that it's important for Indian cinema to understand that songs. We tell our stories through our songs, and that is how the songs in Malik are not superimposed like item numbers. They become a part of the story. And the film is very layered about relationships, be it the relationship between mother and son, Jamila and Alika, friends, David and Alika, uncle and nephew, Alika and Freddie, husband and wife, Alika and Rosalind, the bureaucracy and the underworld of Alika and Anwar. Every facet of human relationships are so superbly layered and projected that everybody has his high or low. Everyone has his say in a relationship. Each one of them is in a commanding position at one point in time and at a receiving point in another. So it's not so much about strong and weak characters. It's about strong and weak moments. And that is what makes Malik an extremely well textured film. When you talk about the underworld dawn in the Indian context, at least you remember Nayakan, you remember Amitabh Bachchan's Diwar, of course Kamala Hassan's Nayakan. But look at what Malik offers to you through Fahadh Faasil. Now, he's not that punch-filled Amitabh Bachchan of Diwar, nor is he that dramatic Kamala Hassan of Nayakan. He is the calm, the quiet, the Malayalam milieu actor and nuanced to such finesse that you wish that you keep seeing him again and again in the movie. And you wish there were more scenes. And you feel, why is he not in this scene? That is the presence of Fahadh Faasil in this movie. Interestingly, within an hour of I seeing this movie, I called up a film producer who I know, not as a film producer, I know him as a friend, called and told him he must do something and buy the rights of this movie and make them for a larger audience, maybe in Hindi or in Telugu. Such a wonderful film. It's a story about a man who's pushed by circumstances onto the wrong side of law. But he continues to be a philanthropist. And just when he is about to say goodbye to crime, law catches up with him. The paradox is apparent. What happens with him? His lovely relationship with his friend David, and how that sours and how far it takes their process, how the roller coaster of self-destruction is an amazing display in this film, Malik. I'm not very familiar with the actors and the acting crew of the film, so I'm going to look at my source when I talk about them. You have Fahadh Faasil, of course, as the lead player. Words fail to say what a brilliant performance that was. There is Nimisha Sajayan, who evolves from a little girl. Of course, that little girl part is played by somebody else. But from somebody young to somebody old, an amazing performance. She is not the typical Hindi film heroine who's got a white grey or a grey-haired wig as she grows old. You can make out that there's a kind of sternness. There's a kind of chubbiness in her young age and a certain sternness as she grows old. Brilliant performance from her. There is Vinay Forrt as David Sulaiman's friend. Yet another amazing performance. There is Jalaja as Jamila's mother, as Sulaiman's mother, or Alika's mother. Very strong role, understated and stated just enough to fit both her credibility and the viewer's interest in what she's going to do or say in the film. Everybody else in the film, be it Joju, George as Anwar, the IAS officer, be it Dileesh Pothan as his peer, Dinesh Prabhakar as Sulaiman and David's friend, Parvati Krishna as Dr. Sherman Iyer, Sanal Aman as the young boy who's caught as a seeming terrorist and who's planted in the jail to kill his own uncle. Each one of them is a studied, balanced performance. And in the midst of all this brilliance, in the midst of this complete film, it's difficult to say that in spite of everything being in its perfect slot, there's a larger than life image that emerges and makes it even stronger. And that is Fahadh Faasil. To lovers of good cinema, I would not just recommend, I'd plead with you, please watch Malik. It's an amazing entertainer. It keeps your sanity in place. It revisits the old world of the underworld, the bad man, the cop, the Tom and Jerry happening. But at every stage, there's credibility. There is a human element to the story. And talk about the technicalities. I have a lurking feeling that cinematographers in Kerala don't have to do much. They just have to leave the camera on. There's lovely locales behind which get captured. And of course, some brilliant performances. The editor does the rest of the film. Mahesh Narayan edits the film. It's interesting that an editor knows that what a crisp film should be. Very often, good filmmakers, Subhash Ghai comes to my mind, made good cinema at his own time, but made too long films. Maybe Malik in the Malayalam context is still a long film, but I don't think there are too many scenes that could get chopped off unless you wanted the spirit to get too morbid. I think there were other scenes. One, if you search for a needle in the haystack and find it, of having to fault some part of the film. I think the past and the present are a little jerky. The narrative could have been a tad smoother. But this does not take away from this wonderful Malayalam mainstream film starring Fahadh Faasil. He's everything in the film which has everything else to offer. Watch without fail if you don't want to miss a good film. It's available with subtitles, so don't miss it. Malik is really top class. Thank you for watching. Before I sign off, acknowledge Abhinav for his editing and Datu for setting up the scenario and canning the entire episode. Thank you very much, Datu and Abhinav. As I sign off, I once again request my friends who follow this to do comment on how they like this whole show of mine, whether I need to improve a lot, both in terms of content and otherwise. All suggestions are welcome. Thank you and good day.